Here's what it was.
So who else is in the room? Come on, I hear voices. Oh,
Do you?
nobody's fessing up.
The boardroom is here.
Ah,
Oh,
looks like we've got Dino, sorta, kinda.
Hey, I'm starting to get in here. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can hear you. We can see your hands.
Oh, there, it's right. I've got to tip up my.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh my gosh! I'll tell you. Now I got to put some.
green.
Scare all the ladies and the men.
Volume down? Yeah.
They are over there.
Oh,
Who's the handsome guy staring at me now?
it's green. Can you guys hear
I don't
me?
know.
Yeah, was that you, Sherry?
No, that's Jody.
Oh, hi, Jody. Yeah.
Yeah, let me go ahead and turn that.
Who's with you there, Jody?
Holly and Jennifer.
I hear a male voice.
Oh,
Who's it?
Blair from IT.
Oh, gotcha.
Let's get everything set up. Can someone talk?
Yes.
You need.
Oh, that's
How's
really
the girls?
Yeah.
How are the girls doing?
Oh, they're doing good.
Yeah. What are they up to?
Hopefully schoolwork right now at home.
I think so, yeah. She'll be having
Do you need us to keep talking or are you good?
We turned down the volume. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't too quiet.
Okay.
Uh.
Hi, Tim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I got your email regarding adding 4. We'll get to that at the appropriate time.
Yeah. Jody sent me an email this morning telling me that it was already pulled, but I did not see it pulled on that list.
Okay, I think Mark might have done it. I think maybe.
Those are pulled off the consent agenda. They're on the individual one.
Not on mine. I got mine printed out and it's.
Mark
there.
revised it, and the one that was published and resent to us has it pulled off.
Yeah, none of yours are on the individual ones to go over today, Dino.
Those are items like 291, 292.
Okay, the only one that's left there, Dino, is a Dundee Docket 14.
Well, hold on a second. I'm getting confused now. Are you saying that the individual one was not the non-consent?
I don't know the answer to that question.
The ones that you told Mark to flag, he removed from the consent agenda, and he has them individually listed below the consent agenda.
Okay, well then, somehow or another, I missed his republishing.
Well, Dino, I did see the 4 that you're looking to discuss. I did take a look at them, so I'll just have questions on that. So,
Okay.
Kevin.
Okay.
we are-
I'll try to find my notes now. I'm scattered all over the place.
All righty, I think all we're waiting on is Bruce. Is that correct?
I can't hear you.
Yes, because I see Kevin now.
That smiling face of Kevin.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Likewise.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Dino.
Hey, Dino.
I don't know.
Yes, I see yours on there, Dino.
Dino. Hold on. Let me go over here.
Well, I missed that email then.
It's,
Hey, Jennifer turned the volume down for us, so she wants you to speak louder now.
Yeah, Dino, can you just talk for me for a minute? Nobody else talk, just Dino.
I'm sorry.
That's good. That's
Am
fine. You're a little quiet.
Well, just that's my nature.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. It is 9 o'clock. Let's give Bruce a minute or two. If he,
oh, there he is.
Want me to go louder?
morning, Bruce.
How magical.
Hi,
Okay.
Bruce.
Is Sherry, are you on?
I am.
Okay,
I
okay.
phoned in.
Okay, real good. Then we have everyone we're expecting. We will get started. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if I can ask Madam Clerk, Jody, to call the roll
Sure. Sullivan,
here.
Jarek,
Here,
Constance,
Here,
Okay. So everyone knows, not everyone is invited to a Zoom meeting. However, this is being live streamed via YouTube. So that's a word to the wise. In addition to the board members, we have additional board members, Michelle Abel, Bruce Dorada, Kevin Schulenberg, and Sherry Melzi. And supporting us as clerk this morning is Jody Bingman, and Jennifer Feeney is here doing some tech work as she is wont to do. And I believe Holly might be in the background as well. Holly Winter?
That's correct.
Okay, well, good. Let us go with item number 2 on the agenda is public comment on agenda items. Jody, do we have anything along those lines?
we do not.
Okay. Let's move then to approval of the minutes of the meeting of September 21st. Do I hear a motion to do that?
I move that we approve the minutes of the meeting of September 21st, 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Sullivan, yes?
Aye.
Mike, did you vote?
Yes, aye.
Aye.
Okay, Jody, you got that all right?
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is rescinding decision made on our last public board hearing, and that was just a essentially a typo. I'm sorry, no, I apologize. I'm jumping the gun here. Rescinding, let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. This one involves a withdrawal, and I would move that we accept the withdrawal.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sullivan, yes?
Jarek, yes.
Constance, yes.
Okay. Let's move then to item number 6, and this was an error in entry, and I would move that regarding docket, the Sugar Grove docket number 033, that the assessment be set at 43,961. There was an error in the land valuation, and just some background on this. This was a sale, and the assessor moved the assessment to reflect the relatively recent sale. And subsequent to the agreement between the taxpayer and the assessor, there were other hearings within this industrial condominium complex, and they were this set the kind of the guideline for the other units in that complex. So if I'd make a motion to rescind that and then set it as I did, and we've not voted on that. Is that correct, Jody?
Correct.
Okay. Then it would be my motion to change the value as noted in the docket item number 6 to reflect the total of 43,961 with the land being changed to 14,165. Is there a second?
Constance seconds that motion.
All in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Jarek, yes.
Jody, I need to go back to that. I did not flip this because the item number 7 is actually, the total should be 5660. Yep, 56661, with the land at 42,496 and the land, I'm sorry. Good morning, Monday. 14,165 for the land, 42,496 for the improvements, for a total assessed of 56,661. So I'm going to ask us to revote on that. Sullivan, yes.
Constance, yes.
Jarek, yes.
Okay. We now move to the consent agenda. If I'm not mistaken, the only additional board member that is asked for a discussion on some of the hearings was Sherry. And then Dino's added 4 to the agenda that you might have originally received. I have not taken a look at that again, but I do have the number of the ones that are on the non-consent agenda. So is there any question or concern from the additional members about what they have submitted and their proposed recommendations?
No.
No? Kevin?
Nope, not here.
Bruce? Bruce, you're good with what you've submitted, right? Okay.
Looks like he's stuck.
I'm gonna, yeah, it looks, yeah. And Sherry, we'll get to yours shortly. Because there's no objection or ask for any additional ones to be withdrawn from the consent agenda, it would be my motion to accept the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Constance seconds.
Okay, all those in favor? Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Jarek, yes.
All right, motion carries.
Bruce is back.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey,
I don't know if you heard what I was saying. I don't know if you had audio on that, but you did not ask to have anything put on the non-consent agenda for further discussion, correct?
I did not. That's correct.
Okay, all right. Real good. Then let us move to the non-consent. And Sherry, I've got these not in time order, but if we can go to complaint number 13, you've asked that it be revalued. And I think all 3 of these, pardon me, all 3 of these are based on agreements between the taxpayer and the assessor.
2 of these are very, very easy, Tim.
Yes.
Basically, 0013 is in P-tab. However, the township assessor wasn't aware of it, and he did make an agreement. So I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay. Actually, that was my first question on all 3 of these, whether or not they had pending P-tabs. And so the
0014 is as well in P-tab, and he had made an agreement on that one as well. That's why I flagged those 2.
okay.
And I'm not sure I filled out the paperwork right. I might have put the value of the agreement versus the original value as well. But I am going to be in the office tomorrow, so I can fix that and sign it tomorrow if I need to.
Okay, well, if I'm not, I didn't double check that, but I believe the 2, bear with me here, 14 and 17 were, there were appraisals submitted, and even if they do have pending 2019, if the assessor at this point in time agrees with something that was done for the prior year, if the PTAB hasn't been settled, it would be logical to me that the 19 would be easily settled. Mike, would you agree with that?
That would be normal course.
Okay, Dino, I think given that this is residential, I'm thinking that there shouldn't be an issue with 19 if it hasn't come up already. When it does come up, that you're essentially setting precedent the year later. So, Sherry, if you're good with that, I think that the revalue based on the agreements should be appropriate. But now let's go back to 13 if we could. I don't know if you would recall, the assessor's cover letter stated that he needed some clarifications from the appraiser. Now, this is a pretty unique property in that it's about 9 acres and it's three different structures that could produce income. John Oren prepared an appraisal and there's a lot of data in there.
Question, Tim, are you on 17 or 13?
He's on 17.
Okay.
You know what, the hearing time, I think, is reversed. Okay, I am on the one with.
Docket 17? With the John Orn appraisal?
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was the 10:30. You're correct. So I have the time right, but the docket number wrong. But when we go to vote on it, we will have that ready. So anyways, Sheriff, if I can go back, if you recall, or do you recall what the assessor's discussion was with the appraiser in terms of clarification?
He really didn't say. It's a very unique property. It has 3 single-family homes on it. However, one of them was converted to a 3-unit building. And I asked the township assessor what research he did, and he really didn't know how to do much research on this one. However, the reason it's flagged is because one of the comps that was used, I happened to be in shortly before it sold. And the information on the appraisal is inaccurate.
Is that number 2?
I was in comp number 1.
Okay. Well, I have an issue with comp number 2, but so how far off was the information that the appraiser used for comp 1?
Okay, there's a lot of, oops, now my computer, I had to walk away, sorry. There's a lot of information that's inaccurate. First of all, he says it's a 2-unit or 2 residences.
Mm-hmm.
There are no 2 residences on that property. Okay. There is a pole barn, 2 little sheds, and a house that needs everything from A to Z. And that's exactly what I said during the hearing. I've been in this property, and so I'm somewhat familiar with it. The house itself was a ranch that had a bunch of additions put onto it. And like I said, it needed everything. The layout was wrong. If you look at the picture and you see that room in front on your right-hand side, literally you could stand in that room and put your fingers through where it should be attached to the building, and you would be in the room, your fingers would be outside. This house was in need of basically contractor-type repairs or torn down. What I think he was referring to as the coach home was really the garage. Because I couldn't match the square footage up with anything of the coach home because there is no coach home. So I went on the tax records, and the garage is 519 square feet. So anyways, that's basically, that property is just not really a comp. The numbers would be all different because there is no secondary building. And the other thing that I was very concerned about too was the land sales. I don't know, can you guys look at the appraisal itself while I'm talking?
Yep.
Any of you?
Yeah, I've got it
I've
up.
already looked at it and it made my own notes, but I think I know where you're going.
Okay. Well, on page 64 of the appraisal, Mike, since you can see it, if you look at these land sales, look at how old they are, look at how big they are, look at the type of properties they are. I mean, wetlands, and he used sales from 2015.
Right. Okay, if I am recalling correctly, he was addressing the surplus land, and some of the land of the subject property was just that, and it also had some soil issues. Am I reading that right?
I don't remember any soil issues, but he did call it surplus land because it was woods.
Right, he
Yeah.
calls it heavy timber growth.
Yeah, my question, if the appraiser was at the hearing, I would ask whether or not there'd be any timber value. I'm going to guess no, but it would be a wooded property, essentially, that you couldn't do too much to. So I understand, I clearly understand the questioning of why something from 2015 was used, some sale. But I think he was trying to address apples and apples, I guess. He's obviously not here to question, and we're not. This is not the type of. This meeting is not a hearing in itself. There'd be no new evidence, so we would just ask the additional members to discuss things as you just have, Sherry. I will bring something up as well on one of the sales. Sale number 2 was a property that actually I appraised right prior to the sale, and it's because
Which, there's actually multiple sale twos.
I'm sorry, the house with the second structure. Kevin,
The Old Burlington Road.
Old Burlington Road, right, okay.
yeah, this is the Gustafson house, Kevin? Okay, you're muted, but I can see that you said yes. And the sale price is.
I know, yeah, that was the Augustin home.
Okay, the sale price in the MLS is the one that the appraiser used, but it did not tell the whole picture. The appraisal that I prepared was meant for the seller so that he could essentially sell it at a discount to the township. The township purchased the property, but he is able to declare essentially a contribution above and beyond the sale price of $300,000.
It was a tax write-off.
I'm sorry?
It was a tax write-off.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I do those types of appraisals all the time. So the information nonetheless with the appraiser used for that sale does not tell the whole picture. One of the things that I looked at in this appraisal was an income approach, which is appropriate, and it's a unique property. He had to use information from widespread, but the bottom line on the capitalization, it's supportable. I don't know, Dino and Mike, were you able to go through that? And
I have another comment to make because I did address something else.
okay,
And that property was up for sale from August to about February at $775,000.
I didn't get
And originally it was listed for $875,000, and then they reduced it in December to $775,000. And I asked the taxpayer where that number came from, and she stated that the realtor had supplied comparables that supported that number.
Okay.
And then she told me that she had another realtor come through, which I don't know. She was already kind of upset at this point because I had mentioned the house that I'd been in comp 1. It was not a very good comp because of all the issues I've already explained. And it's like, okay, you think your property is worth $775,000, but now you're coming in and telling me it's worth $525,000, kind of thing. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
That's, okay, point well taken. I guess I'm going to ask Dino and Mike the same thing, but there's an agreement in the assessor is not providing, other than, his signing on the dotted line in terms of the stipulation, he's not really providing additional information that would be compelling to get anywhere near that $775,000. I also, one other thing on the income approach, or if you want to call it the sales comparison approach using a gross income multiplier, this is a type of assignment that, all of us as appraisers are happy it's not your bread and butter. I mean, because you really have to put your thinking cap on, and you have to address a lot of things that are not in the typical assignment. So I think John did do that. Sherry, you raised some excellent points here, but the assessor, the assessor is not giving you information. He's not really critiquing the appraisal. I don't know, Mike. What are your thoughts on?
The assessor opined to saying that there wasn't anything like this in the township, and they decided to go with the appraisal essentially. So, like you said, they didn't do any research, is the way I see it. So, I just wonder how they got to the assessment in the first place.
I did ask him that, Mike.
What? Okay, good. What was his answer?
His answer was, he took the 3 houses and he assessed them individually and put them kind of together. Because I asked him if he did any research on this appraisal, and he basically hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, how did you come up with the number? And that's what he told me.
Yeah, because I think they could have had some much better research on the land, for one, because that shouldn't be a problem out there, I would think. So I'm not quite sure that the land value is really too accurate, for one. And then in this income approach, there was a comment from the appraiser that they aren't structural engineers or whatever. They couldn't necessarily come up with the repair value, but yet in the income approach here has got less deferred maintenance. So I'm not quite sure what the person's opining to. They're not good at it, or they are good at it, but they came up with a $20,000 adjustment there. So I don't. So those 2 items right there in this income approach, I am not confident in. So coming to the 510 there, I would say it's low without having to do much research. I mean, without doing no research, I'm thinking it's low.
Dino?
And I agreed with that I thought it was low too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's being flagged today.
Our problem is that we don't have anything on the other side to balance this out at.
My approach was obviously not as in depth as the rest of you. I hung my hat on the assessor's statement that what was that, page 108, that he decided to go with the taxpayer's appraisal on the basis there was no similar properties of 3 single-family homes converted into apartments and sales within the last 3 years. So now, if we're saying that there are, from independent research, sales that can be brought into the picture, then there really isn't, now then we're going to substitute our judgment on indicating that there is something out there, and then we're going to disregard the assessor's comments or conclusions. And that's fine. I just don't know where we're going, because I've got a similar situation in Burlington, or in Hampshire rather, with the assessor. That so I don't know where we go with it. If we're going to substitute our evidence for what the assessor does, then fine. obviously we've got that power, correct, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, right, if we feel it's just, but I think you're making an excellent point, is we don't have anything, and we're not supposed to appraise the property. So I'm very glad that Sherry asked how the assessor came up with the individual components, and that's, you know, that's good assessment process, but the valuation, you know, if one structure is 1,000 square feet and another is 2,000 square feet, and he has comps to make it equitable at whatever the value might be, it doesn't take into account the overall of whether or not someone would pay the same figures that the assessor does. I don't think we have enough information that that would negate the assessor's agreement.
Well, the other thing is, Tim, is one of those properties, a family member's living in.
Okay.
So the rents, I don't know how accurate the rents are, and he does make kind of judgment calls, I guess you could say, when he does redo the income and operating expense statement. Those are not the actual rents.
Well, the family member's not paying a premium, are they?
No, they're paying reduced.
Yeah. Okay. So if he, you know, if I hear you right, he's taking that into account that, hey, if the relative is paying $500 and it should be $1,000, he's projecting a fair market rent for that component of the property. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, but I'm not so sure that how he figured out his rents are really real accurate, to be honest with you, because of the fact that the owner pays for basically all the utilities as well. So I'm not sure how accurate even his rents are in relationship to the comps he used to decide those rents, being that it looked like the tenants in the rentals he used all had to pay their own utilities. Does that make sense?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, it absolutely does. But even, you know, if you have to make an adjustment, are you saying that what should be an apparent adjustment has not been made?
Well, what I'm saying is the comparable rental data he used is the tenants were all paying their own utilities.
So they're artificially low then.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you in my own little weird way.
Well, here's my contention. I think we have multiple approaches, and I think every one of them have some, you know, issues with, and we have nothing from the assessor side. So it really boils down to, do we want to negate the agreement and do our own research and come up with a fair value, or to agree with the agreement based upon the assessor is opined to it, I guess.
Yep.
I don't think the appraisal is that great, because you use sales from city properties and not from rural properties. There's plenty of rural property sales out there that probably should have been used in this case, not St. Charles, Geneva, and I forgot what other town he was in. I wouldn't have chosen in-town locations to appraise this, but that's what the individual did. So there's my comments.
Well, let me just interject something. If we're going to critique the appraisal and we find fault with a number of issues or points, then we drop back to saying that we don't feel that it's credible enough to meet the burden of a preponderance of the evidence, and we're going to rely on the principle that You know, if there's any question, taxation at the assessed value is going to be, you know, what the conclusion is. You know, the only fly in that ointment is that we're contradicting the assessor's agreement. And I don't know that I've got enough experience at the board level or at the even PTAB level, obviously, you know, to say, where do we go with that? If it goes to PTAB, it seems to me that what we're concluding is that we need an appraisal of our own at that PTAB level in order to resolve what we're talking about. Am I anywhere close to, you know?
Well, we're not starting from scratch though, Dino. I think the first part of your comments are what is applicable. If we just, let's say we just throw the agreement out, or let's say we think that it should be somewhat higher. We don't have the basis for that as we sit here today. Now, granted, if it does go to PTAB because we do not, because we either confirm or revalue it somewhere in between, yeah, then we will have to have evidence other than a critique of the appraisal. We probably would have to have an appraisal done, and I think that the next appraiser or the appraiser engaged by the county would have similar challenges. So my inclination is to confirm because of all the comments, and I really appreciate Sherry's input and concern and whatnot, but we have nothing further than what we have. So, Mike, I think that's kind of what you said as well.
Yeah, I mean, even though I would say it's probably higher, we don't have anything from the other side to balance that out. And the only option is to agree with it or disagree, and then that becomes our burden, you know.
Right, and no one's shying away from the burden, but the reality is that down the road it could create a complaint to the or an appeal to the Property Tax Appeal Board.
And the assessor, who should be the most knowledgeable of his own township, did agree to this, so.
Okay, well, I do want to bring one other thing up because I did a lot of research on this, as you can see. There is an active property right now that's going to be somewhat similar to this. It's on the market right now. It just was put on the market. It does have 2 homes and it has a church on it, and it's just down the street from this property. So in the near future, there will be a comparable there.
Except we won't be able to use it.
Not for this year,
Yeah.
but maybe just do a 1 year, and then we'll have at least one comp that's very close by.
That's a very good suggestion. That's a very good suggestion. If I'm reading this right, the land in the agreement is 47,317, is that correct? And the agreement calls for the improvements to be at 127,666. Is that correct for 174,983?
Yes, that's what I have.
That's what you, okay, and Dino, that's what you have? Okay.
Yes.
It would be my motion to accept the agreement between taxpayer and assessor for 1 year only, Jody. And those figures are, as I've just stated, the land would be at 47,317, the improvements to 127,666, total assessed would be 174,983.
And that's 1 year only.
1 year only. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Majoric, yes.
Okay. Sherry,
Jody, I'm not sure exactly what I put down on the paperwork. if I didn't put the proper numbers, I can come in and, I'm gonna be there tomorrow anyway, and I'll sign.
We have those
No, you have
numbers.
yeah, you have the right numbers.
I do? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Okay. All right. Dino, I'd like to, the four that you've highlighted subsequent to the initial agenda, I'd like to do those last. So if we can move on to, Mike, I believe this one is yours.
Tim, are you making a decision on item number 286 and 287?
I'm sorry. Yes, Jody. It would be my motion to accept the agreement on those as well. I'm looking at docket numbers, Jody. So is 13
It'd be
at,
13, 14, and 17.
okay, is 13 the proposed land at 29,538 and the improvements at 117,608 and the total 147,146?
Yes,
Okay, that would be my motion on that particular parcel. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye, Constance, aye.
Sullivan, yes.
Majaric, yes.
Okay, and then the next one, the land would be at 10,089. The improvements at 109,020 for a total assessed of 119,109.
I'll second.
All those in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Majaric, yes.
Okay. Sherry, on those, on the last two that we just voted on, you were on the phone with the counsel for the taxpayer?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Okay, thank you very much. Then let's move to docket 293. And Mike, this is yours that was flagged. You asked for a confirmation, but what do we have further?
Oh, hold on a second. What about 289? Off the, I'm looking at the agenda.
Okay, you know what, I just printed out the, those items that were.
Okay,
consent.
what's the docket number that you have of the hearing?
The docket number I have is BBCM 025.
Yes, okay.
So that, okay. So
Okay,
do we have to discuss 289?
well, actually, that is 289,
Oh, okay.
oddly enough.
Okay, I see that. Okay, I see that on the, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, on the Excel sheet that I printed out both, Mike. and it
Oh, okay.
shows that item number 293, but it is 289 on the agenda rather than the Excel spreadsheet. So,
You know what happened is somebody added some, I think they added 4 individuals on here and screwed up the numbering.
oh, oh, okay, okay.
All right, so that docket, it's actually the clubhouse in, what do we call it here?
Mill Creek.
Mill Creek, yes.
Yeah.
So within the information that was supplied, there is a 2003 supervisor assessment final administrative decision about open space, which was granted. The issue was, or in this particular case for this year, is that the land was given the reduction, but the building was not. So that was the actual contention by the appellant, that the land is fine, but the improvement should be reduced. And within the, now I'm gonna have to find it. Within the packet, there actually is, and I don't know who did it, but there is a request for an assessment correction, and there are some numbers in there. And it only shows the reduction to the land, but not to the improvement. So I left this up to us board members to decide whether we should be reducing the building as well. The appellant made a compelling argument that they're only asking for the 20% or so of the building, because it's actually a restaurant, the clubhouse, and then underneath is a full basement where they have the golf cart storage.
So was the correct, Mike, is it your understanding that the correction was taking into account the appellant's eventual argument?
Actually, I gotta look for that. I'm trying to find what their number was.
Go to page 8 or 9 of the file.
Okay,
Don't we have some, hold on a second.
on page,
If you go to page 10,
yes,
isn't that making the adjustment on the land?
yes, it appears to be, but they think it should be lower than that.
Who does?
And the appellant. And they made a good argument because additional 20% they believe should come off, but I cannot find what that number is here.
I thought that the appellant had asked for 105,050 for the land.
And it's at 101,
708.
708.
Well, shouldn't there be a confirmation on the land and then address strictly the improvements?
Yes, that's the contention.
And you said there was a strong argument made. What exactly was the argument?
That 20% of that building should be taken off because it's a restaurant. That the restaurant part should be removed.
Well, isn't there some argument that the restaurant part can be used for private parties?
Yeah, and it's closed. It's been closed for a couple of years. So that's really the issue is the restaurant really part of the open space because it's closed?
Well, I think we've encountered this elsewhere in the county regarding clubhouses.
Right.
What did we do at the St. Charles, not the St. Charles Country Club, but the other one on the east side?
Royal Fox.
Royal Fox?
Yeah.
That remains to be, I mean, the land was, there was no argument that the land is the open space, but there's still a pending PTAB on the improvements because there was an appraisal made that essentially said, it's all land value and that's a really nice clubhouse. And I'm not familiar with the Mill Creek one. I know the swim club. Yeah, okay.
So that was the issue. Because it's closed and it's been closed, should it also be part of the open space? And since we don't have any, at least I don't know of any precedent yet, since it hasn't been decided on the other one, I don't know if we want to buy into that argument or just confirm it like I did. So I just left it open to the board to have some say.
I think it should be a confirmation. The fact that they're not using or can't use it as of January 1, I don't think that's the point.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would think confirmation is appropriate.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you, if I can just add in, Tim, why can't we take approach that we do on vacancy? If I can, I'm sorry, cut you off there. No, that's fine.
It's a single type user building, as opposed to a 10-unit strip center, then it's either open or it's not. So this is not Cook County where they do grant that. Kane County does not, and I don't think we need to shift gears on this.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
confirmation.
Okay. For the record, Mike, you want to put those figures into the record?
That's what it was confirmed at.
Right, but I'm just saying verbally, if you can,
Oh. So land at 105,050 and the building at 453,079 for a total of 558,129.
okay, and that does reflect the open space.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, then there's been
Constance, yes, if that's what we need.
that's where I was going. Yeah, Sullivan, yes.
Constance,
Jarrett,
yes.
yes.
Okay, real good.
All of us, yes.
Yes. Okay. It looks like the next on the non-consent I have is complaint number 294, but it's if I can read the docket number, it's a due page. It's a Dundee 014. Dino, this is yours.
Yeah, the question that I had on this one, I think I indicated that we would confirm I'm looking at my notes, guys. What's on the material in front of you, Tim?
I just have confirmation, and I've got the numbers.
There was a PTAB pending on this, and there was discussion between the intervener, Scott Nemenick, and the taxpayer about trying to resolve the PTAB in this one. But the assessor had indicated that he was pretty confident of his numbers. And so I did not, push further the concept of trying to resolve, both cases. And I just didn't know what either one of you would be suggesting with that background.
Okay, it actually
Felt that it probably should be confirmed because of the tax assessor's position. And
okay, well here, not to jump the gun to the next one that is under my name. Same situation. I confirmed it, or I made the recommendation to confirm, and there is a pending PTAB, and I thought there might be some activity between council and the intervener prior to today's meeting. There has not been. So Dino, I'm guessing that there's no reason, in addition, because of the pending PTAB, and in addition to the fact that the assessor is confident of his assessment. So if you want to move to confirm, please do.
yeah, yes, I would make a motion that the assessments be confirmed.
Okay, for the record, just so Jody has that, do you have that in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me. I've got, hold on a second. Let's see, I've got 388, 458 for the land.
Yep.
And the improvement will be 491,490 for a total of 879,948.
That's correct. I would second that. All in favor? Sullivan, yes?
Jarrett, yes.
Dino, did you speak?
Constance, yes.
Okay. Jody, you got those figures, right?
Yep.
All righty. Let's move on then to, this would be the one that I just spoke of, the same situation. I recommended confirmation. And there's a pending PTAB and have heard nothing further since the hearing. regarding potential settlement. So it'd be my motion to confirm this. The land is at 436,531. The improvements at 2,294,519. Current absolute total is 271. I'm sorry, 2,731,050. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Constance.
All righty. Sullivan, yes.
Constance, yes.
Majoric, yes.
Okay.
Tim, just so we're clear, that was item number 295?
Yeah, 295 Hampshire 0009. Okay, Mike, I think the next ones, we have some similarities. But if you want to open up on, oh, let's see, this is Plato Township number 5, and I have it as agenda item 296, which may have,
Actually the same, okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
there's probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 from Plato, and all but one has the same issue, and the issue is recent sales. So 8 of the 9 there have recent sales. Some are actually, I think 2 are actually in 2019, and the rest are after the January 1, 2020. However, the assessor does have some information to support the current assessment. So all of them I just confirmed so that we could discuss how we want to handle the sales of the properties. Whether we want to be extremely generous in some instances and just go right to the sale price because we feel PTAB is going to do it anyway, or do we want to just hold the line because they were after January 1st, 2020? So it's just open to discussion from that perspective, because 8 of the 9 are, that's the actual issue. Unless you want to go one by one.
They have varying dates though,
Right.
sale dates.
Yeah, one is April of 2020, one is 2 of them are in 3 of them are in 2019. 4 of them are in 2019. But the assessor also has good information on that side of the coin as well. So again, it's a question of, does one sale, you know, make a market?
Well, when it's the subject, that's
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah, we know the answer to that.
So on the 2019s, we would just go ahead and go to those numbers. What
okay.
about the 2020 sales?
You know, unless it was January, I'm not too keen on doing the 2020 or using the 2020 sales.
Right, me either.
Subject sales, yeah. Mike, did you summarize the net of the 9 or 10 that we have here? Did you summarize the 19 sales? Because that's not what I looked at.
I'm not following. What do you mean summarize the 19 sales?
If we were to rule that they should be revalued based on a sale price, do you have those figures?
Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think I have 4 out of the 8. I'd have to check 1 or 2 other ones because I didn't put the date, write the date down. But
Okay.
we'd have to just go through it.
All right.
So
I mean, Dino, are you good with the procedure on this?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, no.
I'm trying to look through some of the PTAB decisions right now that I logged in that that go into the following year. And I think that there has already been some PTAB precedent that going into the following year has been upheld. But I'm trying to, I've got a whole bunch of them and it's going to take me time to look through them. And I apologize that I just didn't have time. And I apologize that I couldn't get through to Mike's files
There's no need to apologize.
Friday.
Yeah, no problem.
I think what the revenue, let me back up. I understand that there are certain rulings, but I think that if the township assessor's information, as well as a sale considerably past January 1st, 2020, is argued on our end, then, you know, I think we have to support that. So, you know, Mike, again, if you have something that one of these that's flagged that is a January or maybe early February 2020 sale, that might be a little different. But, you know, if something's April, it's past the point. And, you know, we have our rules as well.
Well,
I understand.
and that was the point of leaving these open. So as we go forward, we know what we all want to do. Because otherwise these will fall into Dino's hands.
Well,
And I wanted to have Dino have his comments as to how he wanted to handle these. So, if I'm hearing correctly, I think that if we give 30 additional days after the January 1 date, we're going to go ahead and just go with the sale price. Beyond that, then we're just going to say that they've missed their time window and they'll have their opportunity for the following year.
Okay, so if you're,
That's what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Sorry, Mike.
Is that what both of you are alluding to, as I'm hearing correctly? After January 30th of the following year, anything in February and beyond, we're not going to deal with until the following year?
To me, it depends upon when the contract was signed.
Well, that gives you that's a whole nother, you know, issue. Because if it closes in April and it was signed in December, then is that really a closed sale, you know?
Well, it's not a closed sale, but it certainly is an indication that that the time frame is the prior, you know, is the year that the contract was signed. There could be all kinds of factors that would delay the actual closing. It doesn't change the intent of the parties to pay money.
And there's
with the contract terms.
Yeah, and that's the exact reason why we've used August sales, because of that argument from the appellant side. That it was signed in January or December 31st of the prior year, met the statutory requirement of January 1st of the subsequent year, and so therefore it should be the sale price. So
okay, and I think I do have, but I can't lay my hands on it, you know, something that's similar, you know, out of PTAB. So now at this point, we will make our own policy and identify that anything within 30 days, if the closing does not occur within 30 days of the beginning of the subsequent year, that then it doesn't qualify for a subject sale.
Well, yes, I would say, yeah, the meeting the minds, you know, the points that you just discussed. But again, on any given case, if there is an appeal, it can be, you know, it can be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. I mean,
you're talking about our reviewing it as submitting evidence or on the PTAB.
Yes. But I think, Mike, if I think that you've made this.
But we'll never get to that point, I don't think, because we're going to be upsetting the apple cart with the assessors. I mean, you know.
As Mr. Armstrong always reminds us, we have to do what we think is just.
Irrelevant of what anybody else thinks.
I mean, it's our call, and, you know, we have to be fair, and, I never blame an assessor for doing what their job is to do. And so if they think it should be thrown out, then the taxpayer has the right to file a complaint. So I think it's probably a pretty good thing that if it didn't close in January, then it doesn't qualify for that given lien year. So, Mike, if I can go back to where you were at in terms of these 9 complaints, do you have the ones that should be confirmed, and maybe, well, if we can go down them one by one.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the file one by one. So the first one, docket ending in 0005.
Okay,
They had a sale date of 10/28/19, so that would fall within the actual correct year.
okay,
So the sale price was 432.5. So I was just doing some calculations on that. The total assessment then, can't see this, so there we go, would be 144,152.
okay,
The land is 23,639. Wait, 23, yeah, 639. So the improvement would be reduced to 120,513.
okay. Is that your motion then?
That would be my motion.
All in favor? Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
And Majorek, yes, of course.
Okay, Jody, can you read those figures back?
And the land is 23,639. The building is 120,513 for a total of 144,152.
That's correct. Okay.
Correct.
The next one is complaint 07, or docket number 297.
Yes, and I'm pulling it up now. That was a sale of, oops, hold on, wrong one. I had this flagged as a sale, but it has an appraisal. And I cannot find the sale date. Oh, actually, there is no sale date shown here. So I'm going to say we should just confirm this one. Maybe this one got popped in there inadvertently.
Okay. So,
So I would say confirm at the current assessed values.
okay, can you read the numbers into the record?
30,393 for the land, 121,567 for the improvement, for a total of 151,960.
Okay, and that's the form of a motion, right?
Yes,
All right, I would second. All in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Majorek, yes.
Okay,
All right, on to docket 0008. And that had a sale date of 4/8/2020. So then I would move to confirm that one.
again, Mike, for the record, can you read in the assessed values?
Certainly, 27,016 for the land, 139,823 for the improvement, for a total of 166,839.
I second that. All in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
And Majorek, yes.
Okay, and Jody, those are the numbers. I'm assuming those are the numbers that are published, so the confirmation. Okay. All righty. Mike, I think we're on to 009.
Yes, 009 is a 10/3/2019 sale price of 439,000. So then I would just go ahead and actually, this one we kind of have to talk about.
Okay,
Even though it has a sale price, this is actually an estate sale.
okay,
And again, the assessor does have good information to support the current assessment. So even though there is a sale, I think it might have sold a little bit lower because of it being an estate.
I don't recall, was there an appraisal on that one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I would,
No, just sales contract.
and you said it was October, right?
It was, yes, October 3rd of 2019.
So I guess our question is whether or not we're somewhere in between.
Yes, and again, one of the issues we're if you look at all of these, you know, isolated as one case, you can see that you probably just leave it alone. However, when you look at all these, there's going to be a lot of sales that are below what they're currently assessed from 2020, because there's 8 or 9 sales here that are going to be good sales to use next year.
Okay,
So some of the sales that the assessor is using are in 18 and 19 and show a much higher value. And that's kind of where I was going with this one, is like they're going to come down most likely next year, but yet there's still plenty of evidence to support the current assessment. So it's that dilemma of, do we take it down a year earlier or not? And on top of that, this one is an estate sale as well.
those are two tricky points.
Yes, so
You know, I'm not sure how the various assessors are going to treat 2021. We're
Right.
not crossing that bridge at this point. There, you know, we've seen this year so far some arguments about COVID, and you know, the board has been very adamant that you know nothing took place on that until March.
Right.
So I can see that there was a sale, you know, even though it was an estate, that it's probably somewhere in between, especially given Janet Roush's pretty strong evidence.
Yeah, and one issue there too is her evidence in this case are from 2017. So you've got old sales.
Which they're right, but yeah, which you know,
They're substantially higher.
okay, and this is that one, was that one in Highland Woods as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think 2021 is going to be totally different.
Yeah.
So, but I still can see we still have an October or a 2019 sale.
Correct.
And so, you know, how much of that was already discounted because of the estate or because of other market factors? You know, any questions or comments for Mike?
Well, you know, if you're looking to try to figure out how the decision is going to impact future research, you know, we're probably going to be 2 years away from a decision in PTAB. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Mhm.
You know, so anything that's going on in 21, I mean, where's the impact going to be for our decision?
Well, the immediate impact is that this will be the basis for taxes payable in 2021.
Mm.
So whether or not there is subsequent relief.
Well, I'm our 2020 is being decided now,
Right.
level. So anything that goes to PTAB is going to be into late 21, probably 22. That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Are either one of you looking at what research is going to be done in 2021?
You know,
So if so, what's on the record is going to be what's recorded.
Well, you're actually leaning to,
The impact of our assessment on this one, for example, is going to be in an equity argument. You know,
Yeah.
not an overvaluation. Am I correct on that?
I wouldn't see why it would be equity.
only if
Unless-
they choose.
If you say that if I'm following your reasoning here, if you say that someone can use this low sale or this low assessment on an equity, you know, you can't hang your head on one equity comp. And there's a ton in Plato. There, you know, Plato's one of those townships that has, you know, a lot of data, a lot of residential. So I wouldn't be concerned with that at this point.
Okay, I understand. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, so
What do you think?
I'm
So
thinking,
what you're thinking of then is because there's a combination of other factors that we then interject a compromise in terms of that value. We consider the sale price, and then we consider the evidence, and we're in effect, you know, dividing the baby, right?
We're ruling
no,
is just taking all factors into account.
yeah.
So I don't really like the use of the word compromise.
You don't like the term of dividing the baby.
It's not
And
our compromise.
just so you know, Dino, the reason I left this one out is because this would be your baby. So I wanted your comments here. All right, so I'll just throw in my contention is confirmation because of, I think it's low for an estate sale. Now, whether they file a PTAB, I don't know. They may not. But I think this might land in your lap later on.
What was the marketing history on this, Mike?
I don't recall. Let me see if I got anything. I don't think there's anything in here.
I'm looking too, and I can't find any MLS.
Yeah, there's the closing
Information.
statement and the contract. Oh, you know what? Let's see, what's the date of the contract here? I don't. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Actually, the counteroffer was August of 2019. And it closed in October of 2019. So we don't, well, let's see. I guess it was listed through Redfin, so it was listed on the market. No, I take that back. It looks like that was the buyer side. I'm not sure how it was exposed, but
yeah, there's nothing in here on from the MLS that'll give us a.
And there's no the transfer declaration. That was not included, right? And I mean, there's no reason to research it right now, but the transfer, the green sheet should say something along the lines of.
If it says
it's not checked if it was advertised for sale on the green sheet.
Okay, then I think that probably.
Yeah, the assessor's notations here or on the readout shows the subject as being a short sale.
Yeah, right.
I think they use that term interchangeably with other factors.
Okay.
So Mike is so then you still think that a a fair cash value of about 555 is appropriate, given the assessor's data.
Yes.
Okay. You want to make a motion then?
Yes, let's see, which docket is this? Number 9. Okay, so I would move to confirm leaving the land at 40,524, the improvement at 145,312 for a total assessment of 185,836.
I'm going to second
Constant
that.
seconds.
Oh, okay, all in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Majaric, yes.
Okay. Jody, you got those numbers, right?
Yes.
Thanks. You ready to go on to 10, Mike?
Yes. I'm just looking at this one to see if there was what the sale was. There's an appraisal. Maybe this one got in there inadvertently as well. Yeah, this actually should not have been in there. So then I would move to confirm this one as well,
Okay,
leaving the land at 23,639, improvement 127,206, total assessment 150,845.
I would second that. All in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Jarek, yes. And now the next one, docket 11. This is actually a sale in, there's the date, 4/26/2019. The issue in the hearing was that this is actually the builder model that was heavily upgraded. And since the builder had subsequently passed away, that this was actually a divestiture of all of the holdings of the developer slash builder. And again, there's plenty of sales in Plato Township to support the current assessment. So the contention was that it was not truly a fire sale, but it was sold as a liquidation price, essentially.
These are going to be good ones for the tests on PTAP, to be quite frank with you. I think it's going to be a good testing ground.
Yeah, I thought I'd let you be aware of these, Dino.
Yeah, no, I'm appreciative of that. I'll mark them down.
Yeah, so that's the contention in this particular one. Again, Plato has plenty of sales to support all the assessments, but there's a lot of these
understood
current sales that are coming. So I was under the impression to confirm myself. So
what was the sale price?
420.
And
It's
the
assessed at
Flex 445.
right.
It doesn't seem like much of a discount to me.
Yeah. Well, again, she adjusted that because it was a model. That's the thing. She adjusted it because it was a model for wear and tear, but she also wanted to keep it higher because it had the premium, upgrades in it.
When was it built?
2008.
That's a lot of repair, and those improvements. It's almost time to remodel. So
Could be, yeah. But she does have 2008 sales, so at 457 and at 420 and one at 528. So that, actually now that you mentioned the sale or the assessor market value, it becomes one of those issues of, yes, on a sale price, it's $25,000 difference, but on an assessment price, it's very close. So do we want to argue this one out?
What do you think, Dino?
Well, you know, where are you going to argue it out? You're gonna go lower, or you're gonna go higher?
Well, I'm just saying you might as well just go lower. Because if you divide 25,000 by 3, it's 8,000 assessments essentially, you know. So is it worth arguing about that amount? And I'm speaking directly to you, Dino.
Well, you know, you're identifying that the 445 is already a depreciated figure,
Yes.
if I'm understanding
Based by
correctly,
the assessment.
because of its age and having the upgrade.
Correct.
So there's a combination there of starting up higher and then reducing it, and so now you're down to 445. So here we go again.
Again, the assessor has, I believe, accounted for the issues of age, wear and tear, upgrades, you know. But it's so close that you have to wonder whether you want to argue it out further or not, you know.
Well, this is unlike the other sale that we had a couple complaints ago, where there was $110,000 or
Right.
$150,000
Yeah.
for cash. Here we have a $25,000 difference. And,
Correct.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the 528 sale. You know, you got a 2015 house being built.
Right.
It's just slightly under 400 square feet less. You know, where's that difference coming in?
Well, that comp 2 is only 100 square feet different. 3828 to 39.
Yeah, I see that now. I see that. Right.
But that third comp, yeah, the third comp's 800 square feet smaller. But think of it in these terms. It's assessed at 445,176 and the sale is 420. What would you do? You'd probably just go to the sale price.
I would say so.
Yeah. But that's your call. So these are all going to be your babies. So
I would go with that sale amount.
okay.
A motion that the land remain the same at 20,262. And let me get to the and the building be at 119,724 for a total of 139,986.
second, all in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Majority, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Constance, yes.
And Jody, you got the revalue.
I did.
And it wasn't stated, but it's because of purchase price, Dino?
Yes.
Okay,
Or evidence submitted or whatever.
either or. Okay, Mike, you've got 012, complaint 302.
Yes. Again, I think this might have been an error. It just kind of got all dumped in there because I don't see a sale price. See an appraisal. Yes, so I'm going to just confirm this one. Leave the land at 27,185, improvement at 141,249, total 168,434. That's my motion.
I would second, all in favor, Sullivan?
Constance, second. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Constance, yes.
All right. Okay, we got 3 yeses, right?
Yes.
Right, Tony, you heard that? Okay. Let's move on. Complaint number 15, and this is agenda item 303.
Okay, so the issue here with this one is the property owners, one of the owners is handicapped, and they had to spend additional dollars to widen hallways, create cabinetry so that it would be accessible to the person in a wheelchair. Now, on its face, you wonder, well, does it really matter? But the evidence they submitted is that they sold a house prior to this that they had built, that it was already constructed, and they modified it to work for the person in the wheelchair at additional costs, but it didn't work out very well. So they built this one from scratch to the standards that they needed, and their house that they sold substantially less because of the changes to the property that were for a handicapped person that would have to be redone for someone that didn't need the handicap accessible items. So that is the question here. Does a house that is built for a handicap accessible, for a person that's handicapped, diminish the value of the property? And this is, I think it's only like a year old or 2 years old. I can't remember here. And empirical evidence is, yeah, they actually had a property that they built brand new and had to sell for less than they bought it for because of the handicap accessible items in the house. The buyer had to reconfigure that property for their use. So there is evidence of a diminished value because of that.
That's the appellant's, or that's the complainant's argument?
Yes.
Okay, it's been a long while since I've read anything along these lines about appraising residences that have been modified for this. I think, and this, this has nothing to do with the assessment at this point, but I think you could get in a lot of trouble saying one way or the other regarding the modification for a handicapped person. Now that applies to fair housing.
Right.
That applies to fair housing. So assessment wise, okay, that's the argument in that they've experienced.
Yes.
I would suspect that there are a number of residences out there, not a great percentage, but a number that would indicate that there's a recurring market for people to buy these types of structures. I don't hear. What are the number differentials?
I hope I wrote it down because they didn't put a number in here.
Oh,
Let me see. Docket 15. 12. Nine, 8. 11, 12. Okay. They were looking for 410, I believe. And it's assessed at
461.
461. Okay.
What's bothering me when I'm looking at this is that the comps that the taxpayer is presenting are 2 stories,
And they have a ranch.
and they've got a 1-story.
Yeah.
Now, but ranches are becoming more popular, aren't they?
That they are.
It's because no one's getting any younger.
Exactly. I just
Strike
note
that from the record.
just note, Dino, that you had said that the appellant is presenting. That's actually their appraiser is presenting 2 stories. I don't know why that the appraiser didn't put other ranches in, especially the property that they sold is not in there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that my instinct is that there is some positive value to having things set up. For a disabled person.
Right.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
So in my experience out in the field, there isn't evidence that shows one way or another whether a home has handicap accessibility, whether it's going to get more or less value. I think I've seen enough evidence to show it doesn't go either way. And
interesting.
Also, the appraiser should have included one ranch for sure. There's no doubt about that. And
can you talk a little bit louder? I'm sorry.
The appraiser should have included at least one ranch. Even if he had to go outside of his parameters or whatever, he should have had a ranch. And it's still, in cookie cutter neighborhoods, there's still an overwhelming number of 2 stories. Sometimes it is a little bit harder to get some ranch, good ranch comps, but that's it. I just want to say that, sorry.
Yeah, I would agree with Michelle, and that would normally be what I would lean to, but in this instance, they actually sold a home that they had for less. So that made me wonder a little bit more about, is it just this area that somebody, or they had to sell because they had another house and they just needed to get rid of that. And that's what the deficiency of, what they bought it for and what they had to sell it for. It wasn't really the handicap portion of it. It was just they had to unload it maybe. But even the assessor sales, the sales are 436, 434, and 420. Oh, there's a 455, but it's assessed at 461. So I don't, even based upon the assessor numbers, I'm not quite sure why she's at 461 either. But I thought I'd bring that to the attention of the board members and see, especially Dino again.
Well, we've
actually, I bought into the argument. I think maybe it should be a little lower because they sold their house in that same subdivision. So you have a recent sale of showing that, but like Michelle said, in general, out there in the marketplace, you don't find it too often. We found the needle in the haystack, but we're back to, does one sale make a difference? Is that the market?
I would say no, Mike, but the evidence, the assessor evidence, again, it's lower on absolute dollar amounts.
Right.
So, taking.
Look at your square footage too, though.
Yes, it's larger. And part of that is because they widened hallways. All the doorways are wider. I mean, they literally made the entire house accessible. And that was one of the issues they had in the house that they sold. The hallways weren't as accessible. The doorways weren't pre-made to be accessible, so.
So you make the house, the footprint larger in order to accommodate wider doorways and hallways?
Yep, hallways, everything is larger in this instance. So some interesting food for thought, huh?
Yeah, I'm I'm still looking at the square foot pricing, and I don't know how far off the assessor is.
Mhm.
Mike, if you had mentioned that you kind of buy the argument, but if that is the case, what do you think? If you do agree that there's a reduction, what kind of reduction are we talking about?
Oh, I would think it would go down to somewhere around 420, 430. In other words, a $20,000 to $30,000 adjustment to the price because of all of the handicapped issues that would be there.
Well, again,
So
you have one sale that
Right.
that paints that picture, but not the market in a broader sense.
I mean, I'm not really convinced that the preponderance has been met.
Well, that's also the other issue is their sale isn't in there, which should have been in there as the part of their argument, but their appraiser didn't put it in. And if they weren't there to discuss it, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. But
I think confirmation is appropriate.
okay, Dino, it's going to be your baby, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I would move that the
Okay, then I'll
burden
move.
hasn't been met, and I'm trying to find the figures here.
Yeah, I've got them right here. Landed
Okay.
stay the same at 30,393. Improvement 123,384. Total assessment 153,777.
Thank you, Mike.
I would
I'll
second.
second that.
Okay, Dino will second it. All in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Yes, Constance?
Majority, yes.
Okay. Now we're going to go back to the ones that Dino's asked to be put on the non-consent. And I believe the first one is Hampshire complaint number 002. Dino, do you have that up on your screen, or do you have?
I don't have that up on my screen at this juncture. Let me just try to. On this one here, we were shifting from attorneys, and so when I got to the 002 one, we shifted and had an intervener, and then I neglected to get back to the township assessor. There was discussion starting, there was conversation immediately starting because I had the taxpayer's attorney on. I got the interveners on, and then the discussion was starting. And so I kind of identified that 002 indicated that the township assessor said that the board of review should decide. And so I was kind of lulled into this situation. And so the taxpayer's attorney and the intervening attorney both had identified a reduction that I felt was appropriate, but I failed to get the township assessor on the line for that 002 and that 003. Sorry, just for the 002.
Okay, Dino, can I interrupt you?
I felt badly, and so of course I called her when we were on the 0031 and indicated that we had, I'm sorry, it was after the 003. I'm sorry, I completely overlooked on both of them. And so I called her and apologized and indicated that the 002 was the board made the decision anyway. It wasn't the decision. It was, the hearing was closed based upon the presentations. And on 003, the discussion between the attorney for the two attorneys were that there would be a reduction from the price that they paid as a new facility, and so I identified what the discussion was, and my recommendation was that we accept the reduction in both instances, and that's where we are with 02 and 03. And so I just like you two to kind of peruse the information there, and see where what ideas you come up with.
What's the agreement amount?
There's a reduction on 002 by 400,000. Hold on a second, because I have to get to those files.
So the numbers that are in our agenda are the reduced numbers, not the original numbers.
Well, the problem is that I did not catch the I did not identify the second printing. Excuse me. I'm trying to find my.
Okay. I printed out the Excel sheet that did not have the new ones, but then I reviewed these this morning, and the new agenda does have those, all four of these. And yes, you're right, there's a $400,000 reduction. In terms of the assessor, there's no reasoning other than a sale price. I think it's on this 003, I'm sorry, 002, that should be taken into account. There's no pending PTIBs on any of these four. Is that correct? Do you know?
That's correct.
Okay. Was Hicks the appellant's counsel? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I looked at this appraisal and made some comments and questions. I think the reduction is within a fair range. There's, I know that if you buy in portfolio that there can be arbitrary allocations, but sometimes they're not arbitrary. They are right to the penny, and they reflect whatever the buyer has allocated, and it just happens to be the market value. The appraisal, I think, is considerably lower, and I think that the agreement, even though it's not a signed STIP, is probably appropriate.
The comments that were made by the intervening attorney was about that the cap rate was fair in the appraisal, and I could not make a conclusion on that, and that seemed to be one of the factors that Attorney Nemenek was identifying. But the cap rates the rate was reasonable.
But he didn't submit anything. He just commented on.
Correct. Correct. There were discussions that it was a bulk purchase, And I just didn't feel, comfortable trying to make any conclusions.
A couple things in the appraisal, which we often see in ad valorem work is, oh yeah, this is an over improvement, or oh yeah, this has too much office space, or it's too specialized. And I don't know if I buy that agreement, but also there were comments in there about COVID that I think are premature, but perhaps the appraiser is. The appraiser did say there's not enough data, and I understand why put it in at all. So
It's irrelevant for January 1st of 2020. So
exactly. So, but I don't know if they're prepping for next year or not, Mike. But the agreement does not seem out of whack.
And there was also some discussion about a prorated approach. March 6th of 20 was identified in there.
So where is this a supposed agreement? Because did the intervener sign this?
There's no agreement. There was just a suggestion that those numbers were acceptable to the intervening attorney, and in a discussion with the attorney for the taxpayer.
Okay, so we have nothing that
there's nothing in writing.
Shows us from the intervener. Okay, correct.
Well, the reduction is $1.2 million, and if I recall, there's 156.
It's
$7.
It's 400,000 assessed.
Yeah, right. So the fair cash is $1.2 million, and it's about $7.69 less than, which is above the appraisal amount, but below the assessment. And again, the evidence on the part of the assessor is sale, which arguably may or may not reflect a fair cash value. But this is new construction. And industrial continues to do pretty strongly, even this late in the year, compared to some other asset classes. Dino, it seems to me that you bought both both arguments essentially. So, Mike, unless you have a different thought on this. It sounds like we should revalue based on Dino's hearing and what he heard and what the parties spoke of. So unless Dino, you think it should be different at this point in time, then I'd ask you to make a motion.
Okay, let's see. I'm looking. I've got to get that file up, and I apologize, guys. Trying to. I've got to.
You get the published figures for the land handy?
Are you asking me for the values?
I know what the.
I don't have a breakdown of values.
All right. I didn't print this and I'm not finding it on the screen. Do you have that, Mike?
I'm actually looking for it now. No, she only has the total.
I've got the current land at 238,125. The improvements at 4,381,557. Now this is current.
Right.
Right.
At 4,000,000 $619,682. So taking 4,381. I've got a reduction in the improvement to 3,981,557. Plus 138,125 for a total of 4,219,682.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, and is that then to be prorated to the March 5th or March 6th?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to, the number, the full assessment we should know, and then we would need the math on the March 6th allocation. Or Jody, is that done after the full amount?
No, the number you just gave me would have had to have been the prorated amount.
That's what I thought. I mean, that's what I was coming up with. So March 6th is about
31, 28, 6, 14, 15, 26. So it's 65 days of the year.
about 10%, 10.68% reduction off the full. Am I doing that right?
I got 17.8%.
I didn't get that either.
What'd you get, Mike?
I got 5.61%. So hold on. How are you doing your calculation? By days?
Yeah.
Yeah, 365. I'm dividing 365 into the, what was it, the 61 days or 30?
65 days. Oh yeah, so now I've got 17.8. 1665 divided by 365.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go back so that we're crystal clear on this. The $400,000 reduction, or actually 398, whatever that was, that would be the full figure, Dino?
Sorry, say that again.
I said the total reduction of 3,981,557, that would be the full assessment.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me just make sure on that. $398, 3,981,557.
Right.
That's the improvement.
All right, but that's at the full assessment, right? That's what I'm trying to.
Correct.
Okay.
No, the full assessment is going to be the 4,219,682.
Okay, yeah.
The new full assessment, right?
That's what I got. Now, the
Okay.
COLA is applied to the improvements for reducing it by 17.8%.
Guys, I've got an emergency call coming in.
Okay, go ahead.
Take care of it.
Right. Yeah, I'm in the middle of hearings and I just excused myself. I've had the floor for all this time.
You might want to mute.
So Tim, I've got a reduction to the building of 708, 717. Is that right?
That's correct. So it would be 3,272,840.
Hold on. Sounds about right. I didn't have the total here. Yeah, that's what I got too.
Okay, I'm going to make the motion. We do have two board members present to vote on this. It'd be my motion to keep the land the same at 238,125, reduce the improvements to 32,000. I'm sorry, 3,272,840. That should total. Oh, that's not right.
I got 3,510,965.
There you go. That, okay. Mike's figure. Okay, that's the motion, and it does reflect a pro rata to the March 16th occupancy. Jody, do you need the full? You don't need the full amount at this point, right?
I do not, just a prorated, and that's prorated March 6th, correct?
That's correct. Dino, we just did the math, and the numbers are on the well, they're being voted on right now. We came up with a pro rata figure, and Jody, you wrote those down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it would be my motion to use those figures, and I'm gonna, Mike, if you can second.
I'll second.
You guys hold on one second. Dino's still muted.
Dino, you're muted.
Give me those numbers again.
3,272,840 is the building. That's
3 million what?
272,840.
And
That's
the-
the prorated amount.
Yeah,
And land stayed the same at 238,125.
okay, gotcha.
Total of 3,510,965.
Okay, Mike, could you second that? I think those figures I've already.
I did, but I'll second again.
Okay, all in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes?
Majoric, yes.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on then to, this is.
And then let me, okay, that takes care of O2. And then on O3, okay, the discussion at that point identified, again, a discussion back and forth with the intervening attorney, Nemenick and Hicks. And the discussion came down to land at 166,669 and the improvements to 940,796 for a total of 1,107,465.
So is the argument the same?
That was again a discussion. There was nothing had been submitted ahead of time in writing.
Okay, but Rose provided what she provided, which was.
Yeah, that's correct. And there was discussion with respect to being new.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess the bottom line, are you comfortable with these figures based on?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Mike, do you have any concern with them?
I'm looking at, this is a 3/3/2020 sale, correct? Do you know it's a sale?
Yes. In March 20th,
Okay,
it was $5,826,160.
okay. And tell me why we're going down to 322? 3,322,000?
Good question. I'm
trying to find the what was the appraisal amount here? Appraisal is 3,630,000, so you're taking it lower than the appraisal.
Yeah, it was something about a bulk sale that was discussed. The cap rate of 7.5% was discussed, and the intervener attorney identified that that he felt that was appropriate.
Okay. So assuming I'd agree with the appraisal, I wouldn't want to go lower than the appraisal. Appraisal is 3,630,000, and I think based upon the numbers you read off, the market value would be 3,322,000.
I'm doing it now. I've got 3,322,727. Is that what you said you had?
Yep, that's what I got. Now look at the appraisal at 3,630,000. So the assumption is if I agreed with everything in that appraisal, I wouldn't be going lower than the appraised amount.
Understood.
And the appraiser did reference the sale,
Right.
you know, for what it's worth, again, on a portfolio. Oh, I'm with Mike here, Dino. Is there a reason it should be below the evidence? I mean, are we missing something? Why it should be below?
And that's why I've got it on the list, because I didn't feel that I was in a position, you know, to make some conclusions here.
I think this was a 5-year-old building, so there wouldn't be any prorations to address.
Yeah.
So if we went with the appraised amount, you'll pretty much wipe out the change. Because the appraisal amount is 310 and the reduction's 375 as stated on the agenda.
Yeah, it's exactly 375.
So I wouldn't move to go any lower than the appraised amount.
I'm with you, Mike.
Okay, so unless I missed something, I'd have to go with the 3,630,000 market value.
I'm running the numbers now.
You come up with $1,209,879.
1,209,879. That's correct. That's what I've got. And then I would be deducting 166,669.
Yes. I get 1,043,210.
That's correct. That's what I've got as well. 1,043,210.
Okay, Mike, I think you started the bulk, so you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Certainly. Jody, we're going to leave the land the same at 166,669. We will reduce the building to 1,043,210 for a total assessment of 1,209,879.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes.
Majoric, yes.
Okay,
Tim,
yes.
before you go on, complaint number 2 for Hampshire, the
Yes.
certified value, that building was already prorated.
It was already prorated. Aha.
Oh,
So we take it back up.
So I don't know if you want to go back to that original amount you,
it would be the 17.8%. Well, no, we still made a revalue on that.
correct, but you revalued an already prorated assessment.
Yeah.
So that 4,381,000 was already prorated.
We just have to add back our proration.
17%, the 17.8%.
So we have to add back well, the total should be 4,219,682 then. So let's see.
No, I think what Jody's saying is that that figure, it already reflected the pro rata.
The 4,619,000 was already, was prorated, correct?
Right.
So if you just lower that to 400,000 like you wanted, that would put you at 3,981,557 for the building.
Right. That would be right. Because if you take the 3,272,000 that we had and add the 708 of the 17.8%, that would come out to the same number or very close to it.
Yes.
And I can actually tell you 3,272,000.
Now, 4,619,682 should include the prorate.
Yes,
It does. That's what
it
Jody's.
does include. So Jody, I've got 3,981,557. Is that close to what you had said?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
you originally had before you prorated it.
Okay, so then I would make a motion to use that as the new building assessment and leave the land the same at the 238,125.
Yes.
238,125, yes.
And yeah,
Second on that?
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Constance, yes.
Sullivan, yes.
Majoric, yes.
Okay, now Jody, can you read those figures back?
I have 238,125 for the land, 3,981,557 for the building, for a total of 4,219,682.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jody.
Okay. All right. Then we've done 3. We've got to go to 6 now. And Dino, this looks like there was a revalue, a reduction. Of about
Yeah, hold on a second here. What I'm reflecting here is that the we did not have any tax assessor evidence. If you gentlemen could look at that.
Yeah, well, actually, what I saw was that the assessor responded with equity, and it's not an equity argument.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm not reading all of my notes.
I think that's the next one. So, but to talk about complaint number 6, there was an appraisal for 350, and as I mentioned, the assessor responded with equity. And yeah, granted, it's equity, but it's it's overvalued, and with the lack of evidence on the part of the assessor, unless there's some major critiques on the appraisal, that probably should be the basis of the fair cash.
Is it appropriate at this point that we in effect penalize the assessor? I mean, we've kind of.
I don't have an issue with that. And Dino, I don't think it's penalizing the assessor.
They've provided information that they can put whatever they want.
Right. Right.
And that's why I had identified granting the reductions that were requested. And I didn't have any, basic argument at that point.
So the proposed action, I'm sorry.
The request is land at 28,875, 87,780, for a total of 116,655.
Okay, then essentially you're doing what I meant to suggest, and that is to use the appraisal as the basis. So
Okay.
If you can make that motion and
And that's my motion.
evidence submitted. Jody, did you jot those down? It should total 116,655. Great. Dino's motion, I'll second. All in favor, Sullivan, yes.
Constance, yes.
Majaric, yes.
Okay. All righty. The next one then is Hampshire complaint number 7. Here, it shows insufficient evidence. Would the reasoning be the same, or you're asking for confirmation, and then it says insufficient evidence, but on whose part is that?
We had, hold on a second here. I've got in my notes here insufficient evidence by the taxpayer. I'm sorry, I don't have that file pulled up on the on my screen. But we've got a tenant occupied with an appraisal. Now, why in the world did I put there that there was insufficient evidence by the taxpayer?
Well, it should be the assessor.
Yeah, the assessor.
But here, I don't want to contradict what I just said in the prior case, but if you think that the evidence is lacking in any way, that doesn't mean we'd necessarily accept the taxpayer's evidence. This was a gas station and
yeah, I'm looking at my all of my notes at this point. The appraiser, first of all, did not inspect the property. I done that, okay. And wanted to kind of run that by you guys. That how does that stack up in appraisal work?
If it's identified as
supposed to be giving a value,
if the appraiser identifies it as a desktop or whatever, as long as the appraiser points out everything they did and didn't do, it should meet USAP requirements if they tell you what they did or didn't do. Desktop appraisals are I don't want to say the norm, but they're definitely more in use these days than they used to be. Am I mixing up the appraisal though? Wasn't there just a letter?
I'm wondering. Yeah, am I looking at the right one here? Is it 1000 South State Street?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no appraisal in what I'm looking at.
There's a letter that states that here's what the value is, but now pay me without, it says this is the value range, and Dennis Nolan should know better than to submit that as evidence, because that's not an appraisal. That's
correct.
Not. Is there any way of knowing whether or not anything came in after this? Was there any late evidence, Jody? Is there any way you can tell?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but okay. So,
And that's why I had indicated the confirmation of it, you know, it just didn't seem like there was sufficient evidence to make any decision on.
well, here though, there's not an appraisal, but there's data, there's raw data. And
Okay,
so, you know, this is something that we're often up against. Even though there's not, there's raw data, and whether or not you think that the data suggests the requested amount. State Street is the main north-south in Hampshire. You know, Hampshire's not a big town, but it's the main north-south street that connects with Higgins at the south end of town. And so it's right, you know, it's right there. There's been, you know, some development over the last 15 years, but a lot of subdivisions came to a standstill back in the last recession, and
is there some importance that I determined that the property sold in April of 2011 for $1.6 million?
Gas stations are funny, right, Bruce?
Yeah.
There's so often going concern issues that may or may not be reported on a green sheet. Mike, do you have any thoughts on the data? You know, you see the sales and they're all over the place, and
Right. Well, I can't even tell you what the subject is based on this.
yeah.
So, you know, what am I comparing it to?
Yeah.
I mean, the letter says, all right, the comps are all over the place, but for a gas station, I don't know if that's a big deal. How many gas station sales are there out there?
Well, you know, so often
That I would confirm, my recommendation was to confirm what was in front of us.
okay, based on evidence submitted.
Correct.
Okay.
And that would put the land at 105,709. Improvements at 145,589. No, I've got it.
$251,301. No, that's off.
I've taking those sets of numbers.
98.
I've got 250, 298.
Yep, that's what I've got. After recalculation.
Now, I don't have that that file up on my screen either, guys. I gotta try to.
Well,
I have it. What are you looking for?
I was just looking for the assessor's, you know, property record card.
That's not in there.
It's not in there, but the published figures are, I'm coming up with something a little different, not even $1,000. Unless Dino, I wrote your number down wrong.
Actually, I came up with 301, 251,301 the first time.
The building value is 145,592.
592.
Okay, that's why. That was the $3 difference.
And the land again was 105,709.
Yes.
Correct.
105,709.
All right, I think it's.
So the total is 251,301.
Yes.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second, all in favor? Sullivan, yes?
Constance, yes?
Majoric, yes.
Okay,
Are
that
we
takes,
keeping that as confirmed based on insufficient evidence or just changing it to evidence submitted? Because you said both.
okay, I would say, Dino, that's your call, but my suggestion would be evidence submitted.
Yeah.
Evidence submitted, yes.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, that takes us to the end of the non-consent agenda.
Thanks, guys, for everything.
Sure. Additional business. If I can ask the additional members if they have any questions or comments or concerns about the process this morning. This is the first time you've joined us in terms of being potentially asked to clarify things. What are your thoughts? And also about the process that, got us here in terms of one hearing officer and one clerk and whatnot. Any comments on that?
I'd like to make a little bit of a comment. Oh, go ahead, Bruce.
Bruce, why
Oh,
don't you?
sorry. I was going to say, the only thing I would suggest is when we do our training session, if we could have somebody train us on the phone system and stuff, because I was all thumbs. I mean, I lost calls and, Tim, a lot of times I'm in there with you and you kind of did all that all the time. And then when I was doing it, I found it wasn't necessarily always intuitive.
There's instructions there now. Did you see the
What's that?
instructions?
On me, Bruce, because I drop calls all the time.
I did see the instructions, but
I think the more you do it, hopefully the easier it becomes. But sometimes you not just 3 people on the phone, 5 people, and it could be kind of tricky. But I'll pass it along. Kevin, or I'm sorry, Sherry, you were about to say something, I think, and you are muted.
What I was going to say is, I think these meetings should be closer together because next time I've got 5 of them, I think, that I flagged. And to have this much time go by to remember everything that happened in those conversations is really, really hard. And I mean, this time wasn't bad because I really just had one property that I was very, very concerned about.
Okay.
But to try to remember all the little details, even though I write everything down, it's hard. Especially if you have, like tomorrow I'm going to have hearings again.
Okay.
So, I just think it's too far out.
Okay. I will pass that on as well. I think, unfortunately for this year, it's kind of already set in stone. The board review meets every 3rd Monday. And we only have two more board meetings left before the end of the hearing season. But I definitely have that in my note to pass along for discussions with Mark and Jody and Dino and Mike and Holly and the whole gang.
I do have a question when you get done, Tim.
Let me get any more information from either Michelle or Kevin. Kevin, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. So no thoughts, but I like Michael's chair that I think we should adopt those in the boardroom, the Marvel chairs. So that's
Okay.
It's got a nice headrest too.
Yes.
Comfy. Okay. Michelle, you have some thoughts?
It's going well. I think it's a good hybrid considering COVID and everything like that. It seems, especially after participating today, it seems like you guys got it under control well.
Okay, good. Dino, you were gonna.
Yeah. Would there be any objection to recording when we are in session? I'm not talking about this right now. I'm talking about when we have the hearing officer at the regular board hearings.
Dino, you've just made Jennifer pass out, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer, are you still there?
Somebody revive her.
Jennifer has left the building.
All I'm thinking about is I would love to be able to put my phone right there and record because of trying to make notations of various people making comments and then, you know, missing some of the conversation and then trying to play catch up, you know, when the hearing actually closes.
So are you saying the ones that you do personally?
Yes.
Well, I don't know whether it would be against any regulations or laws, but you can
Anyone
record it,
can,
I guess,
right, anyone can record the meeting.
right
It's
off your phone.
meeting and I mean, it's something we can bring up, but you know, that's just one more logistical thing that that would be placed on staff that I'm not sure if.
Yeah, I'm not looking to necessarily, you know, have something from the county going on. I just feel that from my own, I just want to make sure that my doing it as a county employee, you know, does not create some kind of a future issue because I didn't retain it, you know, because once we have these types of the full board getting, you know, taking care of things, I would be pitching them. I would be erasing them.
Yeah, I think that's a question that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I believe there's a record issue with that. I think if you record it, you have to provide it to all parties, and then you have to save it for a certain period of time. But Tim, you could probably address that.
Yeah, Kevin, I think you're right. That's something. If Holly, if you're still online, I know Mark would definitely have an answer for this, but any taxpayer can come in and record it, and you know, we can't FOIA that. But I think that is a question for Mark. Holly, are you still on?
I am here.
Is there,
I know Mark had said that he didn't want anything recorded.
Okay.
I think because of what Kevin just mentioned.
Right. Yeah, we have to follow FOIA rules. So if they know that you recorded it, we have to be able to find it, reproduce it in order for anybody that FOIAs it.
Yeah, I was hoping that because an appeal, you know, is going to be a whole new case, and you know, anything that went on at the board of review hearing can be replaced. You know, that would make a difference. But I understand.
Okay. Anyone else in questions on process or comments on process? Okay.
Oh, actually, I do have one.
Yeah, Mike.
I believe at our last meeting, we talked about adding a column to make these non-consent agenda items easier to find.
Isn't that's in the Excel sheet, isn't it? Yeah.
I think, Mike, that was taken care of. We've got hearing dates.
Yeah. It might be the second page.
Officer,
Yeah.
so that we can track in by officer. We've got the amounts.
All right, maybe it's on the updated agenda that Mark sent, but the one I'm looking at doesn't have the date, so. Oh, wait, hold on.
It would be to the far right.
Yeah, it might be the other one that isn't the one that I'm not looking at.
Okay.
Oh, wait, here we go. Hearing date. Okay, got it. All right.
Is there any other additional, if I can just point something out on PTAB, we will probably in the first part of November get a hearing schedule that would be for January Springfield. Mr. Bullock would like us to address anything that we think has a good chance of settling prior to them starting the scheduling. So if we can look over our list, I know we have been on a recurring basis, but we can discuss that more at the next meeting when we'll probably have actual PTAB hearing set. So is there there's no other additional business that I know of, right? Okay, if I can move on then to agenda item 305. public comment on non-agenda items. Jody, have you received anything?
I have nothing.
Okay, if that's the case, everyone knows what the board reviews meetings are, and Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, if the hearing, if the hearings are over on whatever it is, December 8th or 10th or whatever, the December 21st meeting would be to wrap up the entire hearing season, so that things can be certified shortly thereafter. Is that correct?
Correct.
All righty. Unless I hear otherwise, I would make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All righty. Before I ask all in favor, I just want to I want to thank the additional members for being here and participating and adding comments for us if we can improve the system. All those in favor of the adjournment? Sullivan, yes?
Hastings, aye.
Okay.
Majorc, yes.
I think we're set. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I have to end it, but I gotta wait so many seconds. Hmm? Yeah, me too. There. 583. Oh, I gotta dial the real number. Let's see. Hello, Blair. I will call your